What's going on, guys? This is Ryan here. So today's video is going to be a little bit different than my normal videos in the sense that, number one, it's a completely different style, and number two, I'm doing this with absolutely no script. My normal videos, I write a script for all of them and then record it, but this one I'm just going to be doing a completely freestyle. So you're going to definitely hear a lot of ums and kind of pauses. But yeah, this is basically going to be a story about how this meth head girl absolutely socked one of my classmates and then almost socked me at the same time. So yeah, I don't really have any other things to say. Let's get right into it. So this is going to be a story about how this meth head drug addict, I don't even know what she was, just socked the absolute hell out of my classmate and then almost socked me like right after. So this was on a hot summer's day in July of, I don't know, it was around 2 years ago, I'm guessing. And for a little bit of backstory, I live in Texas, so it's really hot, you know. Now, this is the heat of the summer, it's probably 103, 104 out, and we're outside like this little sunny patch and a bunch of trees, and yeah, it is just like coming down on us.
What the fuck is so goddamn funny? Explain, no, nigga, explain that shit to me. It's like, what?
We've been out there for hours, everyone's hot, no one's happy. So what I'm getting at is that everyone was basically like pissed off already. So I was probably around 12 or 13 when this whole event kind of went down. And to give you a little backstory as to like what was going on, I was basically at this thing called Fire Academy, which was more of a daycare than anything else, but they tried to portray it as sort of a little, it's like a tour of the fire station, and they kind of showed you how the equipment works and everything. It was like a week long or something. So most of the time we were at the fire station, but today we were on some little field trip thing. Basically we were going to like this zip line course, but not really a zip line course. I don't know the exact name of the thing. I'm gonna put it up right now. It's kind of like a jungle gym, but in the sky, and you're pulleyed onto it. I don't really know. It's more of like a professional version for firefighters and police to like, I guess, practice rappelling and things like that. So they had that, and they had this big green area, kind of like a yard, and we're all sitting there. In this yard, there's this big swing. So how the swing works was basically, it was just a cable that was suspended in the air. You would attach a harness to it with a person inside of it. Someone would take this rope attached to the harness and like walk, and then it would pull you up into the air, and you were going up to like some telephone pole, and then they just rip on the cord and you just kind of shoot, and it was basically just a really big swing. And that was sort of like our little reward for, I guess, behaving all day. I don't really know. So we had this little line of like people who wanted to wait there. This girl that I'm going to be talking about in a minute, she was kind of a little off all week. She sort of seemed, you know, much more mature. She kind of like had those meth head eye bags and just didn't look like a real pleasant person, was always disrespecting the resource officers we were with and just things like that. Didn't really get along with a lot of the kids, although she seemed to have some kind of like weird attraction to me, where she'd always just stand around me, which kind of freaked me out because like I didn't know who this girl was. I was only 12. I really hadn't been through anything like this before. I didn't really know what was going on. So like I was saying, we're all waiting in line, and I'm next to this little short kid. His name's like, I don't know, we'll name him Drew for the story. So Drew is probably 5'3", 5'2", maybe even shorter than that. Like this kid was short, and she was probably 5'7", maybe 5'6". So she definitely had like way more manpower than he did. So I'm standing right next to Drew and this girl. For this video, we're gonna name her Hannah. So we're all standing in this 3-long line, and there's other people in front and behind us, obviously. I'm just standing there like watching the other kids go on the swing, and I guess this kid, I wasn't really listening, I guess this kid says something to Hannah, and I didn't hear it at all, but Hannah's kind of just like yells all of a sudden. She's like, "What'd you say to me?" And this Drew kid's like freaked out because I think he was just playing around or something. So I sort of look over at him, and I'm kind of like, what happened here? And she's like, "Drew was disrespecting me, bro. She was messing with me, you know." So she's complaining about Drew, I guess, talking bad about her. Drew just gets this sudden burst of, I guess, confidence, and he's like, yeah, what are you gonna do about it? And Hannah like looks over at him and she scowls, and she just throws this nasty hook right into his skull, and this kid basically flies onto the ground. And now I look over at her and I'm like, what'd you just do? Why'd you just punch him? So then she goes over and she's kind of like, oh, you want some too? Kind of trying to get away from this because I don't really want to get socked by some girl who's almost twice the size that I am. I think right after she punched Drew, she tried to punch me too, but I sort of got out of the way. And then Drew starts crying because Drew's pretty young. Drew was younger than the rest of us. He was probably 10 or 11. So Drew's on the ground crying, and this firefighter runs over. There were about 4, maybe 5 firefighters that were working with us that day, and then we had the guy that owned the little jungle gym thing. So they all come running over, and they just straight like tackled Hannah right to the ground. Like they just, I don't know. One of them tries to tackle her, and he can't get her down. So then 3 more of them come over, and I mean, I'm just watching this like completely awestruck as to what's happening, because this kid just got punched in front of me, and now this girl's getting arrested basically. So they all kind of get her to calm down to the point where she can like have a civil conversation. And I mean, I could hear it from 7 feet away. She was just breathing so hard. So this girl she's like out of breath from what just happened. I didn't mention, but she tried to run. She didn't get very far because she was a little bit overweight, but she kind of tried to just sprint off. I don't know where to, because we were sort of in the middle of the woods. But yeah, she kind of just tried to run off, and they basically chased her down. They're just like, oh, Hannah, we need you to come with us. We're going to go talk over by this bench. So they go over there, take Hannah with her. I'm watching. Kids are still going on the swing, and they just sit down with her. And we had this fire dog. I don't know if you know what you want to call it. It was a golden retriever. Its name was Coda. So yeah, she's sitting with the dog and with one of the guys, and they're just sort of talking. And I'm like, oh yeah, they're just like asking for her mom's phone number. No, she comes back and stands right next to me. So yeah, they literally just let her come back after she almost knocked this kid out. So I kind of just like try and get out of there. I was 12 and about the size of a twig. So she one punch and I'm gone, you know. But yeah, we basically got through the rest of that day, and then we all kind of came home to this little building where it was sort of like a classroom, and behind the building was that the burn buildings that stations always have behind them, where they'll light it on fire and then the firefighters go in and like put out the flames or whatever. So they had one of those behind it, and there was like a bunch of trash around it because it was kind of a dumpy burn building. So we're all, I guess, waiting for our parents to pick us up, and we're kind of just sitting there talking, and this is probably a 15-person class, so basically everyone's there. And Hannah's sort of just running her mouth about like, oh yeah, I'm ADHD and I have OCD, so like don't piss me off, and I do drugs all the time, like completely just running her mouth. I'm pretty sure half this wasn't true, but I knew that she was on some form of like medication for something, because like this girl did not look normal. So yeah, we're all basically just talking there. I'm kind of just trying to keep my distance and like listen from afar. And yeah, the day went normal after that. We just got picked up by our parents, all got taken home. She came back the next day, no repercussions, nothing. She was able to sit right next to us, nothing happened. So yeah, that was how this psycho girl punched this little kid, because we were little kids at the time. It almost punched me, and I mean, it was a crazy day. I have more stories about this girl. I have more stories in general, so if you like this video, if you like this style of storytime video, I'm definitely planning on doing some more of them, because this was a lot of fun, if I'm a little bit awkward. But yeah, that's going to do it for this one. Tell me if you guys enjoyed, and be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out. You make me